Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So as you all do currently know, there's a lot of news going on about Paul Pogba in the media, as I think you all gathered as well. There has been talks him going to Real Madrid this summer. It's also said his former club Juventus are keen on signing him as well. But potentially I think if Manchester United are willing to sanction Paul Pogba off this summer, we would demand around £130 million. If Juventus are to have any chances of getting Paul Pogba back, of course, I think Juventus would have to sanction a couple of their current players off, to be able to afford Paul Pogba. But it has basically said his agent, Riley Ola, has been in the process of finding him a new club. He has had a couple of negotiations with Real Madrid over the summer move. He's also been to Manchester to negotiate a summer move as well. And recent reports have just said that Juventus have also met up with his agent as well. So from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's preference, his own perspective, he thinks that Paul Pogba will be at Manchester United next season as well, because most recently I think in his last 6 or 7 games or something like that, his performances have been way below par, to be quite honest, and especially if Manchester United miss out on Champions League football next season, he could well leave in the summer, because obviously a player of his calibre wants to be in Champions League football, and of course he wants to play to the highest level as well. So from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's preference, he thinks he'll still be at Manchester United next season as well. Reports were coming out the other week saying that Manchester United reportedly were willing to offer Paul Pogba the captain's armband, to convince him to stay at the club. But Paul Pogba, of course, I think Manchester United have been in contract negotiations with Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba at the moment has still got over 2 years left on his deal. There's also an option of further year as well. But reports were coming out about, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, saying that he was demanding an astronomical salary of around £500,000 a week, if he was to remain loyal to the club and if he was to sign a new contract with Manchester United. So I think his preferred destination is Real Madrid. Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of the player, and I think he is a world class midfielder. Is Paul Pogba, when he's playing in the right vein and manner. He is one of the best in the world, to be quite honest, because he is a World Cup winner. But I think at Manchester United, of course, he's just not playing around world class players, and that is the problem. To be quite honest with you, he is now heading into his 4th season as a Manchester United player. Of course, Manchester United paid £8 to £9 million to him from Juventus back in 2016 as well. But going back 2 or 3 weeks ago, Paul Pogba, was talking a lot about Real Madrid, wasn't he? Saying it's a dream to play for them and all that as well. So that just indicates that he's not intending on spending the rest of his playing career in England with Manchester United as well. So potentially initially, Paul Pogba, joined Manchester United's youth setup in 2009. I think we actually got him from Lee Harvey. He spent a couple of years in the youth system with Manchester United, and then initially, a couple of years later, went on to make a couple of first team appearances. Did Paul Pogba, but based on his limited appearances, he was forced to leave the club on a free transfer. Then actually, left Manchester United on a free transfer, went to Juventus, had 4 years with Juventus. During his time in Turin with Juventus, I think he won 4 Serie A's on the trot. I think he won a couple of Coppa Italy's as well, won a couple of Super Coppa Italians as well, and I think he made about 124 Serie A appearances for Juventus as well. And then obviously Manchester United paid £89 million for him in 2016 as well. And so far, since he's been here since 2016, he has won the Europa League with us, he has won the League Cup with us, but he endured a very, very difficult time under the Jose Mourinho era, did Paul Pogba, based on his bad relationship he had with Jose Mourinho. Paul Pogba, got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho got sacked from the club as well. So that was one of his best wishes. But since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, since Solskjaer's been recommended in, during Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 3 months, when he was interim manager, of course, we were seeing the best of Paul Pogba as well. He was scoring goals, he was providing and all that, working really, really hard for the team as well. And as I did say, it's just seemed to have all gone wrong, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got the job permanently, because whilst he was interim manager, everything was going right. He was getting the best out of these group of players as well, and he exceeded expectations. That's when we did see the best of Paul Pogba as well. But I think now, at least in his last 6 or 7 games, Paul Pogba's performances have been way below par. So I think Paul Pogba, from his own preference, doesn't even want to be at the club, to be quite honest. So if we could get around £130 million for him, for that price, we could maybe get 2 two players, you know, for that price as well. So there has been a lot of talks going on about that as well. But reports were coming out saying that Manchester United were willing to offer Paul Pogba the captain's armband as well. So I think he's intending on going to Real Madrid, you know, to be quite honest with you, because as I did say quite a few weeks back, he was talking a lot about Real Madrid as well. Was Paul Pogba, so he could be one of the players, you know, that's leaving Manchester United in the summer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has spoken to him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer insists he won't leave the club and insists, you know, that he's still focused on Manchester United as well. But he does need a reality check at the moment because his performances have been way below par. And the majority of these players, you know, need a reality check, you know, to be quite honest with you, because, you know, a lot of them are underperforming at the moment. You know, we are in a bad vein of form as well. But for me, the majority of this Manchester United squad at the moment, you know, is not reliable enough to be quite honest with you as well. Reports have been coming out about Ander Herrera. I do want to give you an update on as well. Reports were coming out about 2 or 3 weeks ago saying that he has agreed a deal, you know, to join Paris Saint-Germain. So now recent reports are stemming from France, from the RMC, saying that reportedly Ander Herrera has agreed a deal to join PSG this summer on a free transfer. It said that the terms have been agreed, you know, the contract term has been agreed as well. That I don't think you've yet come to an agreement, you know, how long the contract term is going to be. I presume it's going to be either 4 or 5 year contract term or something like that. So he is going to PSG in the summer on a free transfer. He's Ander Herrera, you know, he has agreed this as well. And it's a shame really because, you know, statistically, look at it this way, you know, when Ander Herrera has been playing, you know, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I know we have won the majority of our games, but we do know obviously Ander Herrera, of course, hasn't been playing recently, you know, due to that he has been injured as well. But I still think we are set to, you know, to play him in these 3 remaining games, even though he's going to PSG this summer, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has given us an update on saying he has been training, he has been enthusiastic, and he's in line to start on tomorrow against Chelsea as well. But Ander Herrera, you know, I really like him. You know, he's been a good servant to the club. You know, this is Ander Herrera's 5th season out at Manchester United. I think he's made 187 appearances in all competitions for Manchester United as well as Ander Herrera. There were talks that his former club, Atletico Bilbao, were also interested in him as well, but I think it was too late to process because PSG had already come to an agreement to get Ander Herrera. I think he's set to earn around £150,000 a week in Paris as well. But as I said, he's been a good servant to United, and I think Manchester United paid around 29 or was it £30 million for him from Atletico Bilbao back in 2014 as well. But I really like him, and you know, mainly Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice midfield trio is obviously Herrera, Matthew and Pogba, but obviously he's had to rotate that, of course, you know, based on the, you know, amount of injuries, you know, that Manchester United have had, especially in that midfield as well. But I think, you know, if Herrera, you know, can play on Sunday, you know, he'll bring that balance in that midfield. He can free up the likes of Paul Pogba as well. So it's a shame that, you know, he's going to Paris Saint-Germain this summer as well. You know, we did beat PSG, you know, in the we did beat PSG there in the Champions League, of course, and that was a great miraculous comeback as well. One of the greatest Champions League comebacks ever, and we got one over PSG on that. But I think now it's looking like they've got one over us as well, because I think now they are going to get Ander Herrera this summer. And I think when he goes to Paris, I think he'll be a good addition to their squad. I think he'll do very well indeed. He breaks up the play very well. He's tenacious. He's got a lot of tenacity about his play, and these better midfielders out there than Ander Herrera. Don't get me wrong. So we're going to have to emphasise a couple of, you know, targets, you know, that could potentially, you know, replace him as well. But I do really like him, you know, to be quite honest with him as well. But Manchester United have been in contract negotiations with Ander Herrera, of course, but we haven't come to an agreement to get him a contract. Obviously, I think he's got like 3 months left on his deal, Ander Herrera. But I think reports were reflecting back quite a few weeks ago now, saying that he was demanding £200,000 a week from Manchester United. But reportedly, the club were not willing to meet his £200,000 a week wage demands as well. So this has been officially agreed. The length of the contract has not yet been agreed, but the contract has been agreed. But they don't know the length of the contract. It should be either a 4 or 5 year deal or something like that. So Herrera has made his decision, and he's going to France as well. So that's something to give you an update on, guys, as well. But we are expected, you know, to orchestrate a big summer clear out as well. Up to 6-7 players, you know, could leave Manchester United this summer, as we all currently know. At least, you know, Solskjaer wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club this summer. Reportedly, he's going to get a spending spree of around £250 million to spend this summer. Obviously, we know the club are still looking to hire a director of football to come in, you know, to change the structure of the club and all that. And obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to need back in this summer. Recent reports have revealed there has been a few names, you know, who could fulfil that director as well. But I think now what I've just seen, Mike Phelan is in line to become the club's first technical director as well, reportedly, because Mike Phelan has been in discussions about it as well. So there has been a few names mentioned, you know, Paul Mitchell and that has also been been mentioned as well. But we've got to appoint a director of football to come in, before the end of the season as well. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified the positions, where he thinks Manchester United, of course, need to strengthen up as well. You can see the deficiencies in the squad. We do need to rebuild this summer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, is looking to buy into our history as well. And let's be honest, none of this team's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. Obviously, none of this squad's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, because he's inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. There's still some players here. There's still some players here from Louis van Gaal as well. There's still Matty from the David Moyes era, and there's still some players here from the Alex Ferguson era as well. I think there's still about 5 players here from the Alex Ferguson era. I still think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's the right man for Manchester United, even though we've lost 7 of our last 9 games in all competitions. I still think he's the right man. He hasn't got a great managerial pedigree. He hasn't got really, he hasn't really got the experience, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I still believe he can take Manchester United forward as well. That's from my own opinion. But yeah, there's lots to sort out this summer. What players are going to come in, what players are going to be sold. Obviously, we've got to think about who's going to be the captain as well. But I expect a lot of players, to leave Manchester United this summer. But as I did say, we've got to get the right players this summer that have got the ability to elevate Manchester United, of course, in the next 2 to 3 years at least. Because I think we have at least 3 or 4 years off being at competitive elite level football club as we was under the Alex Ferguson era as well. But our recruitment policy is very, very poor indeed, as you all do currently know as well. But Champions League football is very, very essential for next season as well, and we do need to get that Champions League football. And obviously, for us to get top 4 this season, we've got to win our 3 remaining games. We've obviously got to win tomorrow against Chelsea as well, and that's a pivotal game indeed. But the players, obviously there's been also a lot of talks about David De Gea going on as well, and Solskjaer's no intentions of dropping him, even though he's been making quite a few mistakes recently as well. I don't know if that's something to do with the contract issue. I do not know. But Manchester United have been in talks of getting David De Gea a new contract at the club. We have not yet come to an agreement to get him a new contract, as I said. The recent reports did say that he wants around £350,000 a week, if he was to sign a new contract with Manchester United, David De Gea. Reportedly, Man United were not willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. Obviously, he's been a good servant to the club. This is De Gea's 8th season now at Manchester United. Of course, he has made over 300 odd appearances in all competitions for the club. He's still potentially the best goalkeeper in the world. David De Gea, though, potentially recent reports have said that PSG are reportedly willing to put a bid in of around 60 million for him, and are willing to meet his £350,000 a week wage demands. We know that Real Madrid have been long admirers of him as well, because obviously back in 2015, Real Madrid were on the brink of getting him as well. But in his current deal at the moment, De Gea is on £200,000 a week. I think reportedly, so potentially he's demanding a £150,000 pay rise if he is to sign a new contract with the club. Obviously, last year Man United activated a 12-month extension. So now he's under contract with the club until the summer of 2020. Is David De Gea as well. So we have not yet come to an agreement to get him a new contract. We do basically know that obviously Valencia is definitely on his way out of the club in the summer. Antonio Valencia, this is his 10th season out at Manchester United, of course. He has made over 300 appearances for the club in all competitions, of course. But obviously that the club opted against the decision to give him that new 1-year extension, of course. So he's set to leave this summer when his contract expires as well. But he's been at Manchester United 10 years now, as I currently said. Can't even get into the team at the moment, obviously. I think he's still injured at the moment as well. I hope, for my own preference, I hope that Ashley Young, does leave Manchester United this summer. I think it was definitely, bad business from the club, giving him that new 1-year extension as well. Ashley Young's been a long-serving player here. This is now his 8th season at Manchester United. I think he has made over 300 other appearances in all competitions, and he still gets selected regularly, of course. Obviously, back in the day, he was a good winner, to be quite honest with you, but now he has passed his sell-by date as Ashley Young. For me, he's too easily predictable, makes too many mistakes, gets exploited far too easily as well as Ashley Young. So I think for me, he needs to leave the club this summer as well. I think if a new centre-back is to come in this summer, I think Eric Bailly, could be on his way out as well, because Eric Bailly, has found game time very, very difficult this season, especially since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has come in. He's found game time very, very difficult because Solskjaer's preferred the likes of Smalling and Jones ahead of Eric Bailly as well. Eric Bailly's heading into his 4th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, when Jose Mourinho was here, it was obviously one of his first signings, who we got. Jose Mourinho bought 11 players, but I think his first signing, was Eric Bailly. I think we paid around £30 million for him, something like that. Reports do say he's still currently out at the moment with a concussion as well, so he could be possibly on his way out in the summer if a new centre-back is to come in. Smalling and Jones, I hope they leave Manchester United in the summer as well, because I think Smalling and Jones Jones now, they're just not good enough, to represent Manchester United. And some of Chris Smalling's performances have improved, since he recovered from that long-term absence. But obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice has mainly been Chris Smalling and Phil Jones. Don't get me, Chris Smalling, sorry, and Victor Lindelof as well. This is Chris Smalling's 9th season now at the club. He has made over 300 appearances in all competitions. He has won everything either domestically as well as Chris Smalling. But I think it was bad business from the club, giving Chris Smalling a new long-term contract, giving Jones a new long-term contract as well. And this is about Phil Jones' 8th season at Manchester United as well. So they've been two long-serving players at the club as well. I think Marcus Rojo's on his way out of the club in the summer as well. He hasn't really had the opportunity, to be quite honest. I think he's coming to an end of his contract term as well as Marcus Rojo. Has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player, and I think it's totally affected his Manchester United career, to be quite honest here. Just recently recovered from long-term absence as well, so I think he could be on his way out. I think Darmian's going to be on his way out in the summer as well. I think Manchester United, did activate that 1-year extension, so if we can, sanction him off this summer, we can cash in for Matteo Darmian as well. I think if he is to leave this summer, Darmian, I think he would make a return back to Italy, because obviously he had a lot of time in Italy, when he was a lot younger. Obviously the club, Manchester United, paid just over £12 million to him from Torino, was it, back in 2015 as well, and he's found game time very, very difficult as a Manchester United player, so I think he could be on his way out as well. For me, Matic is not good enough for Manchester United. I still think he could be in line, to start tomorrow against his former club Chelsea, because don't forget, he's still an experienced midfielder, of course. Obviously Man United paid £40 million for him, and I've got strong reservations about him. He's very, very slow indeed, and this is why I did say we need a centre defensive midfielder that's fast and tenacious as well. I didn't even really want Matic at Manchester United. I thought he may have done well in a couple of games. He has proven himself as the Man U Matic. He has improved his performances, but for me, he's totally ineffective in that midfield, and he's too slow, to be quite honest with you as well. Sanchez definitely on his way out of the club in the summer, I should presume, because Sanchez has enjoyed a very, very difficult time as a Manchester United player, because Alexis Sanchez, for me, he's no longer playing to the highest level. He's age 30. He has lost that yard of pace now as well, and currently what he's receiving, it's totally affecting our wage structure in a bad way, because we've got quite a few more players now demanding, quite a bit more money. But Sanchez, for me, when he has played, he just looks so restricted, just looks as though he hasn't been getting the freedom, and he just hasn't really settled in. He has sustained, quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. He just recently recovered from a knee injury as well. I wouldn't consider, playing him against Chelsea, Alexis Sanchez, because he's so inconsistent, of course, as well as the highest paid player at the club. He's the highest paid player in the Premier League as well. It may be difficult to find a buy for him this summer, considering his substantial wages he's on as well. It may be difficult, but there may be a team or two out there that maybe could afford to pay his wages off, and unless we can loan him out or he's willing to take some kind of wage cut, I do not know as well. I think potentially, Lukaku, there's been a lot of talks that Man United could get rid of him in the summer as well, because for me, Lukaku isn't reliable enough. His goal scoring record is very, very good. He can score goals, can Romelu Lukaku, but for me, just not reliable enough, to be quite honest with you. And sometimes, when he's playing alongside someone in that front line, because for me, when he's playing up front, sometimes, as I did say, when he was alongside someone, he can look a bit more effective, and he can perform better. Lukaku, and he's still 25 years of age, and he's still got a lot of years ahead of him. He's well Premier League proven. He has got a good pedigree in the Premier League as well. But these talks that Man United could consider getting rid of him in the summer. Lukaku's agent has basically revealed that he could be open. His future is very, very open indeed. And I think if Lukaku was to leave this summer, his preferred destination, would be to go to Italy, because obviously he's been talking a lot about Italy in the Serie A, and that's saying he admits it would be a dream, playing in the Serie A as well. I think his preferred destination is actually Juventus, to be quite honest as well. Lukaku's still got 3 years left in his contract at United. We paid £75 million for him, plus £15 million in add-ons, which risen it up to £90 million. I think he's on about £250,000 a week, something like that as well. I can't really see us recouping the initial £75 million we did pay for Romelu Lukaku, and we have been known for spending big, on one player. We haven't been spending spending big on players. You know, we did it Lukaku 75 million, Pogba 89 million. This is why maybe people are saying we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. Because there's quite a few players out there for a reasonable figure who you could get as well. Potentially maybe not as good, but these players out there for a reasonable figure. Maybe for just over £100 million, maybe we could get 3 players or something like that as well. But as I did say in relation to Lukaku, yes, so potentially I think he's considering, you know, making a move to Italy as Romelu Lukaku, but he still scored goals for Manchester United. You know, he scored 27 goals in all competitions in his first season last season for the club as well. Scored quite a few goals this season. You know, he's enjoyed the difficult seasons as a Manchester United player, because we know mainly that Marcus Rashford is first choice ahead of him as well. But as I updated you the other day, you know, there was a lot of talks going on about Inter Milan's Mario Icardi as well, and potentially the Italian journalist Di Marzio, of course. Majority of the time is very, very reliable in relation to Manchester United. Is Di Marzio. He came out and said the only chance of Mario Icardi leaving Inter Milan is through a potential swap deal, and from Di Marzio's preference, he basically said that he doesn't think Mario Icardi, you know, will continue in Inter Milan next summer. So there has been a lot of rumours going on about Mario Icardi and Romelu Lukaku as a potential swap deal. And Icardi, for me, he's 26 years of age, so he's somewhere along the lines like sort of same age as Romelu Lukaku. I think Icardi's just a bit older than Romelu Lukaku. Icardi's just recently turned 26, you know, not too long ago as well. But he can score goals and is an efficient finisher. He can lead the lines. He's got endless potential as well. And you know, I think if he come to the Premier League, you know, he'd probably produce and deliver the element of the performances, you know, that he has been doing now, you know, in Italy, you know, with Inter Milan. He's enjoyed a very, very difficult season this season, you know, with Inter Milan. You know, reports said before that he currently lost the captain's armband as well, but he's currently, I think this is now his 7th season as an Inter Milan player, or he's heading into his 7th season. He's currently in his 6th season at the moment. He's Icardi. I think he's got a release clause of around £100 million, something like that. I think he's Inter Milan's 9th highest top goal scorer of all time as well. He's 26, as I said. He's Argentinian. I think he's just under 6 foot as well. But he's been at Inter Milan a number of years now, and I think he's scored over 100 odd goals for Inter Milan. Obviously, you know, the majority of his goals have become at Inter Milan as well. He's a former Sampdoria player. He also graduated from Barcelona's youth system as well. So there has been a lot of talks of Icardi and Romelu Lukaku as a potential swap deal as well. Mata, you know, again, I see him, you know, leaving in the summer, you know, when his contract comes to an end, because he hasn't really been given the opportunity, you know, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Juan Mata, to be quite honest, he's no longer playing to the highest level. You know, as I did currently say, you know, he's got a good pedigree in the Premier League. He's been a good servant to the club. This is Juan Mata's 5th season now as a Manchester United player, of course. He's made over 200 appearances in all competitions as well. I think Manchester United just paid under £40 million for him. We've had him here since the David Moyes era as well. But I still really, really like Juan Mata, but he's no longer playing to the highest level. He has lost that yard of pace as well as Juan Mata. So I think he could be leaving this summer when his contract expires as well. But yeah, so Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say he wants to bring at least 5 new additions to the club this summer, as I currently said. And obviously one of the positions, you know, we do want to strengthen up, obviously, you know, is that right back position as well. And obviously, you know, there has been a lot of talks going on about, you know, PSG's Thomas Meunier, as I have been updating you on a regular basis. And he's going to be available for a reasonable figure this summer, because there's been a lot of news circulating around the media saying that PSG reportedly demanding that they want around £26 million for Thomas Meunier this summer, because obviously he hasn't signed a new contract with PSG. He's got 14 months left on his contract with PSG as Thomas Meunier. He has said that Manchester United are interested. Manchester United are considering making a move for him this summer. He also said that Arsenal and Chelsea were also interested in Thomas Meunier as well. I think Thomas Meunier is 27 years of age. He's tall as well. I think he's about 6'3", is he? Something like that. He's been at PSG a number of years now as well as Thomas Meunier, but his defensive abilities are very, very good. He can score goals. He can provide. I think he's predominantly right back, but I think he can play in other positions as well. So he is versatile, and for me, Thomas Meunier, you know, would be a good replacement for Antonio Valencia as well. So there has been a lot of talks about him going on. Obviously, he's a former Club Brugge player. Where I think he did serve about for 5 years as well. So I think he's available for around £26 million this summer as well. So there's been a lot of talks about him going on. Obviously, Man United have been interested in Tottenham's Kieran Trippier as well. There's been a lot of talks about Crystal Palace's Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka is only 21. He's one of England's youngest upcoming talents. He's Wan-Bissaka. He only broke into Crystal Palace's first team last year as well. Did Wan-Bissaka, and I think he's available for a reasonable figure. I think he's rated at around £35-40 million, something like that. So do you think he's got the defensive? You know, do you think he's got the ability to elevate Manchester United at least in the next 2 to 3 years? And he has got a lot of years ahead of him as Wan-Bissaka as well. well. So there has basically, been a lot of talks about him going on. But we do now know we need a couple of additions in that midfield, as we all know as well. With Herrera now leaving, Pogba looking likely he could be leaving as well. We need a couple of additions in that midfield without a shadow of a doubt. And we've been interested in the likes of West Ham's Declan Rice. There's been a lot of talks about him going on. I think if West Ham were willing to do any business for him, they'd demand that they want around £50 million for him this summer as well. Declan Rice, he's only 20 years of age. He's still in the process of developing. He's one of England's youngest upcoming talents as well. He's Declan Rice. I think he's been at West Ham quite a few years now. He's been in the senior squad, West Ham a couple of years, but his performances this season have been very, very good indeed. Of Declan Rice's, his performances have been very, very good, and he's growing, developing, and flourishing fantastically well under Manuel Pellegrini. He got a new contract back in December with West Ham. He got a new long-term contract, so he's on the contract with West Ham until 2024 as well. He's mainly defensive midfield. I think he can operate as a centre back, but I think he is mainly a defensive midfielder, to be quite honest with you as well. So do you think he'd be the right solution, if he was to come to Manchester United as well? There's been talks about Atletico Madrid's Saul Niguez as well in the media. He could be a good ideal replacement for Fernando Herrera. Saul Niguez is 24 years of age. He's Spanish as well. I think he'd cost the club quite a bit of money though, because he has got a release clause of around £128 million. Saul Niguez as well. I think he spent the entirety of his career in Spain, with Atletico Madrid, graduated from their youth system. I think he's gone to make over 200 appearances for Atletico Madrid, something like that. But he is versatile, this player. He can play as a holding midfielder. He can play as a central midfielder. He can also play on the right as well, Saul Niguez. So very, very versatile indeed. It also said that City were also interested in him as well. So there has been a lot of talks about him going on. Sporting Lisbon's Bruno Fernandes, there's also been a lot of talks about him going on as well. I think he's mainly an attacking midfielder, Bruno Fernandes, but he's been tearing it up really, really well in Portugal. He's 24 years of age. I think he's been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons now as well. When he was younger, I think he spent the majority of his career in Italy, because he's a former Sampdoria, he's a former Udinese player as well. I think his release clause in his deal with Sporting Lisbon is around £98 million, something like that. But Manchester United have been in negotiations with his representatives as well. So there has been a lot of talks going on about that. So do you think he'd be the right solution for Manchester United? Do you think he'd blend in very, very well, into the team? If he was to come in, still very, very young, still got a lot of years ahead of him. Benfica's Joe Felix, there's been a lot of news circulating around that as well, saying that Manchester United have been interested in Joe Felix. Of course, he's got a buyout clause of around 100 million. I think his buyout clause is around 100 million, or is it 105 million or something like that. But his performances have been very, very impressive for Benfica, and he only broke into the Benfica first team last year as well, did Joe Felix. But yeah, Manchester United have been into him. There was a lot of news going on about this back in the January transfer window as well, about Joe Felix. But yeah, Manchester United have been interested in him as well. I think Liverpool were interested in back in January. I think Liverpool had a £61 million bid turned down for Joe Felix back in January. Man United scouts have been watching him on a regular basis, based on his fantastic performances as well. I think he's versatile. He can play in numerous positions. I think mainly for Benfica, he has been playing on that wing as Joe Felix as well. So there has also been a lot of talks about him going on. But we do know the club's #1 priority target, he's obviously, Jadon Sancho from Borussia Dortmund, but we do know he's going to cost us around £100 million this summer, is Jadon Sancho. But there has been a lot of, talks going on about that, and I still think he's the club's #1 priority target, because obviously we need someone young and ambitious on that right-hand side, someone that can play between the byline, put crosses into the box, and Jadon Sancho is more than capable of doing that, because he has proven it in these couple of years. He has served there with Borussia Dortmund as well, and his performances have been very, very good indeed. So there's a lot of players, that Manchester United are linked with, and obviously we're still looking to get a central defender in, someone that can partner alongside Victor Lindelof in our backline as well. So yeah, there's a lot of players, as I did say, Manchester United linked with, but the main part of this video is, I wanted to give you an update in relation to Paul Pogba. So now reports saying that Juventus are now interested in him. Juventus are interested in recommending him to go back there, of course, where he did 4 good years. As I said earlier on in the video, maybe Juventus would have to sanction 1 or 2 two of their players off, of course, to be able to afford Paul Pogba. So if we're willing to sell him this summer, we'd demand that we want around at least £130 million for him as well. But I think, from Paul Pogba's preference, I think he's intending on making the move to Real Madrid, to be quite honest with you. But his agent Raiola has been, in the process of finding him a new club, of course. He's been to Madrid to having a couple of negotiations. Now Juventus have met up with Raiola as well. So I think if he is to leave, he'll probably end up, going to Real Madrid, to be quite honest, because he was talking a lot about Real Madrid. Zinedine Zidane is a big admirer of Paul Pogba as well. But for £130 million, we could get maybe two players, for that, two players, for them, £130 million as well. So for me, his performances have been way below par, in the last 6-7 games, and that for me just emphasises that he doesn't want to be at the club, to be quite honest. So I think he's intending on leaving this summer. Solskjaer obviously, doesn't want Paul Pogba to leave. Solskjaer thinks he'll still be here next season, and obviously Paul Pogba's built a great relationship up with Solskjaer, of course. Reports came out, was it quite a few weeks ago, saying that the relationship is between Solskjaer and Pogba is slowly fading, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, there's been a lot of talks about Pogba leaving this summer. I think it's now, as I said, guaranteed Herrera's going. That is guaranteed now. He's agreed to deal with PSG this summer on a free transfer, of course. We don't know the length of the contract yet, but the contract has been agreed. The terms has been agreed. This is stemming from the French press, RMC, as well. So it's looking likely he's going as well. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribing, as always, to my channel, and if you do consider drop your likes on the channel. If you do consider subscribe, sorry guys, I've just woke up, and take care, God bless, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.